Now he's going to be great. Just let him grow up. He needs to grow up a little bit. That's what he needs to do. He messed himself up. All the bragging and all the trash talking and telling people what he's going to do and what he's not going to do. This is a great situation for him to be in. He's lucky. He's got a guy like Joe Flacco that he can go in the room with every day and work and learn how to be a professional. But this kid is a passer. And in Cleveland, with the weapons that they're going to, continue to, establish on the team, it's going to be great to see the Browns. And when he finally gets his opportunity, it might not come this year or next year, but eventually I think it will.
Why is nobody talking about what Shedeur Sanders just did? While most fans are locked in on Joe Flacco and what's left of his arm, and others are debating whether Dillon Gabriel's even ready for the speed of the league, there's one quiet name buried on Cleveland's depth chart that just might flip the entire script. Shedeur Sanders, the so-called emergency quarterback, walked into Browns practice this week with more to prove than anyone else on the field. And by the end of that session, insiders couldn't stop whispering about what they saw. Official media coverage was limited, just some individual drills. No full team footage. But even in those short moments, something stood out. The placement, the control, the confidence. It wasn't just a good throw or two. It looked different because a lot of people thought Sanders was just there as a roster filler, a PR name.
He's a young man that is really intelligent, has high-level football IQ. I bet you if we sat there on a board or tape, he can just spit out what's going on, what to do with the ball, sees the defense, all that. Has a great understanding. He just needs to have a lot of reps at NFL speed to realize how legit NFL speed is. The pass rush, the change of coverage, the windows opening and closing, what he can and can't do, what he can get away with and can't. And so he just needs a lot of growth and development in that, which is what we said when he came out of Colorado. And that just seems to be the case. It wasn't something that erased itself that quickly. And so, but is he physically talented enough to be a starting quarterback in the NFL? I still believe that answer is yes.
A guy riding the buzz from Colorado? But if you're paying attention, you'll see the signs. Something's shifting in Cleveland. The Browns haven't had a dependable franchise quarterback in decades. Now, out of nowhere, a name nobody thought would matter might quietly be climbing into that conversation. And what happens next might shock everyone. The Cleveland Browns are no strangers to quarterback chaos. If you're a Browns fan, you've probably lost count of how many names have come and gone under center. Over 30 different starting QBs in just the past 2 decades. Draft picks, free agency veterans, big money contracts. It's been a rotating door of disappointment. And heading into this season, not much has changed.
He's a guy that right now needs development. He's a young man that is really intelligent, has high-level football IQ. I bet you if we sat there on a board or tape, he can just spit out what's going on, what to do with the ball, sees the defense, all that. Has a great understanding. He just needs to have a lot of reps at NFL speed to realize how legit NFL speed is. The pass rush, the change of coverage, the windows opening and closing, what he can and can't do, what he can get away with and can't. And so he just needs a lot of growth and development in that, which is what we said when he came out of Colorado. And that just seems...
Joe Flacco is currently listed as the starter. A Super Bowl champion, sure, but that was over a decade ago. At 39, his legs might be slower than ever, and his best football? Definitely behind him. Behind Flacco is Dillon Gabriel, a talented but unproven rookie fresh out of college, still adjusting to the NFL system, speed, and pressure. Then, quietly sitting in the emergency QB slot, Shedeur Sanders. No fanfare, no headlines, just a name that feels, to most people, like the third-string insurance policy to an already questionable situation. But here's the thing. Sometimes, the least expected player ends up being the one nobody's ready for. With Cleveland's fragile QB foundation, all it might take is one injury or one bad game performance for things to shift, and fast. And if that happens, it's not Flacco or Gabriel people will be looking at. It's Shedeur. But it's what happened during one recent practice that's making people think. Maybe it's already starting.
If you go back to the Carolina game, the things that you liked were there weren't a ton of moments of holding on to the football. The ball came out of his hands relatively quickly. He saw the defense really well. He was proactive rather than reactive. And then you went to the Rams game, and early on, it felt like he was reactive rather than proactive. It felt like he would catch the snap, almost not try and read what the defense was doing, wait till a offensive lineman got beat or a seam was created, and then take off and go from there, and held on to the football way too long. And I don't know if it was, well, Dylan played really well against the Eagles and then really well against the Rams, and it's like, well, I have to go outplay him. Then a lot of the things that you saw or that I saw in college that gave you some hesitation and reservation.
NFL teams are secretive for a reason. Practices, especially the ones leading up to week 1, are tightly controlled, and the Browns are no exception. Most of the media access this week was locked down. Cameras off. Reporters ushered out after early warm-ups and stretching. No tactical footage, no full team drills, no deep strategy leaks. But even behind closed doors, things can slip out. A few short clips surfaced, just seconds long, but enough to spark a wave of speculation. The first came courtesy of Browns insider Fred Greetham. He noted Shedeur Sanders hitting a tight end with a clean, tight spiral during drills. Precision, poise, excellent footwork. Nothing flashy, just fundamentally clean. Then came another report from Ashley Bastock of 92.3 The Fan. She didn't hype it up, just casually mentioned that it was individual period only for those clips. But what viewers saw in the limited footage spoke volumes. While other QBs looked rushed or mechanical, Sanders looked ready. So behind Sanders. Already, even without a doubt. On point. That's how he's playing this game.
How many games does Flacco start this year?
I'd say it through the bye week would be my under.
Okay.
Over-under.
Okay.
And
how many games does your boy start, Dylan Gabriel?
I'll say over-under on that would be 3.
Okay. And how many games does my boy start, Shedeur?
I'd put that over-under at 1.
The throws he made? Subtle, accurate, confident. Like someone who's being told to just wait his turn. There's no official confirmation. Coaches aren't saying much yet. But when low-level reps look this polished, that silence starts to sound a lot like strategy. But this wasn't just a one-time flash. What came next made some people question why he's even considered third string at all. On paper, Shedeur Sanders is buried. Third string. Emergency quarterback. The guy that only sees the field when disaster strikes. But that title? It doesn't match his presence on the field. People close to the team are starting to notice the gap between where he's listed and how he's performing. During individual drills, Shedeur didn't look like someone auditioning for a roster spot. He looked like a quarterback who belongs at the NFL level. Calm eyes, smooth release, sharp decisions. And here's the part that caught everyone off guard. He wasn't forcing anything. No desperate highlight plays, no look-at-me antics. Just quietly executing better than most expected. If not, better than both QBs ahead of him. The coaches haven't said much publicly, but a few sources have started describing his practice reps as surprisingly mature. One even hinted that Shedeur might have the cleanest mechanics in the entire QB room. It's just drills. Sure, but drills against elite NFL corners and defenders? That's not nothing. And let's not forget, Sanders isn't your typical rookie. He's been under the spotlight his entire career. From Jackson State to Colorado to now walking into an NFL facility with a million eyes watching. And still, no signs of pressure. Just consistent execution. He's not the face of the franchise. Not yet. But if you're on the inside, looking out, it's starting to feel like Sanders is being prepared for something bigger. In the Browns' recent history at quarterback, that might be the biggest clue. Let's be real. If there's one thing the Cleveland Browns are infamous for, it's failing to find a franchise quarterback. Since the team returned to the NFL in 1999, they'd started over 30 different quarterbacks, a parade of false hopes and forgettable seasons. From first-round busts to overpaid veterans, it's been 2 straight decades of trial and error, with no long-term answer in sight. Just when fans thought they'd found their guy, it always seemed to fall apart. Injuries, scandals, poor performance, or just plain bad luck. Names that were supposed to lead the team out of misery became footnotes in a long, painful chapter of Browns history. Even their recent gamble, throwing tens of millions of dollars into a controversial franchise QB, hasn't given the team the solid foundation they desperately need. So when Joe Flacco was signed as a bridge and Dylan Gabriel was drafted with cautious optimism, fans shrugged. More band-aids, more waiting. But here's the thing. Shedeur Sanders doesn't fit the typical Browns template. He wasn't a flashy draft pick. He didn't cost the team $200 million. He just showed up, started throwing, and made people stop and pay attention. Not because of hype, but because of how he plays. Because of what people are starting to see. Even in limited reps. And now, whispers are starting. Is it possible Cleveland overlooked their next franchise quarterback? Some people think the answer is already suiting up every day, just not starting yet. Behind closed doors at Browns camp, there's been a quiet shift, and it's not coming from the front office or press conferences. It's the whispers, the locker room vibes, the way certain players are talking about Shedeur Sanders when the cameras aren't rolling. While most of the media continues to brush over him as third string, some insiders have started calling him the most natural thrower on the team. That's not an official scouting report, but it's exactly the kind of offhand remark that turns into something more over time. One staff member, who asked not to be identified, reportedly said Sanders has the kind of poise you either have or you don't. He's not trying to do too much. He's just clean, technically sound, confident without being overconfident. And maybe the most telling sign? The body language. During drills, he doesn't carry himself like a rookie. He carries himself like someone expecting to play. His connections with wide receivers like Isaiah Bond, another underrated addition to the roster, are starting to click. Bond, who went undrafted shockingly, has been locking in with Sanders during practice. If you're watching closely, those reps look intentional, like two players expecting to grow together, not just fill gaps until game day. So far, no coach has been bold enough to say it's a competition, but the feeling, it's there. The preparation, the rhythm, the polish, it's all pointing to one reality. Shedeur might already be Cleveland's smartest insurance policy. But when you see who he's been sharpening his skills against in practice, it gets even more real. If you're going to prepare a future NFL starter, there's no better trial by fire than going up against one of the league's most dangerous defenses every single day. And that's exactly what Shedeur Sanders is doing. As Cleveland's likely scout team quarterback for now, Sanders isn't just throwing casual reps with no pressure. He's lining up across from real monsters, guys like Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, just to name a few. These aren't second-string defenders letting him build confidence with soft coverage. This is elite NFL speed, elite disguise defenses, elite pressure from every angle. And the result? Every practice rep becomes a classroom. Every mistake is punished instantly. It's the kind of environment that either breaks young quarterbacks or forges something stronger. And so far, Sanders is getting better, fast. He's holding his ground in the pocket, reading blitzes cleaner. And most impressively, he's not afraid. That confidence is translating into tighter throws, quicker decisions, and more chemistry with rising talents like Isaiah Bond and other unknown gems trying to carve out roster spots. Some scouts believe facing this level of defensive talent daily might accelerate his development faster than any preseason snap ever could. It's pressure, but it's the right kind, and not every young QB could handle it. But Sanders? He keeps showing up like someone who knows his shot's coming sooner than people think. And if you look at where he came from and who came with him, the story gets even more interesting. If you think Shedeur Sanders is some random project the Browns are casually taking a flyer on, think again. The guy didn't walk into the NFL alone. He came from a core of players that shocked college football, built under the media microscope, and thrived under pressure. And now, those same guys, they're quietly filtering into the league and already making noise. Take Will Shepherd, for example, former wide receiver for Colorado, former teammate, a consistent target for Shedeur during crunch time drives. While Sanders was getting looks in Cleveland, Shepherd was scooped up by the Green Bay Packers practice squad. No flashy press drops, just business. And if you watch the film, just like with Sanders, it's clean, focused, and NFL-worthy. Then take Isaiah Bond, who somehow went undrafted, signed with the Browns, and immediately became a name insiders are watching. Guess who he's been building chemistry with in drills? You're starting to see a pattern. This isn't an accident. It's not just one guy showing flashes in practice. It's a network of underdog talent that's been battle-tested together. Sanders' development is being sharpened by familiar faces and rising pressure. And the NFL is getting a first look at what that Colorado-built chemistry can do on a bigger stage. So when Shedeur steps onto the field, he's not just repping himself. He's carrying the edge of a culture that's already proven it can disrupt expectations. And the final question now isn't about hype. It's about how soon the story flips. Shedeur Sanders isn't supposed to be part of the story this season. He's not the seasoned vet with a resume full of comeback wins. He's not the rookie everyone's banking on. And he's definitely not the quarterback the Browns are hyping in the spotlight. On paper, he's just a backup to the backup, a name tucked away on the depth chart, quietly getting reps while the franchise rolls the dice with stopgap solutions. But sometimes, that's exactly how legends begin. The signs are already there. From insider whispers to crisp mechanics, from undeniable chemistry with rising receivers to holding his own against a top-tier defense. Sanders is moving differently. He's learning faster. He's watching everything. And the craziest part? He knows his time is coming. That moment when the plan falls apart, when Flacco slows down or Gabriel stumbles, that's when things change. The question is, will Cleveland be ready to pivot? Or will they miss the very answer they've been searching for all these years? Because if the past 2 decades have taught us anything, it's that the Browns have made a habit of looking for the quarterback of the future and missing what's right in front of them. So we'll leave it to you. Is Shedeur Sanders just a backup with a big name? Or is he the Browns' hidden ace waiting to explode? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. This story's just starting, and it might get a lot louder, a lot faster than anyone expected.